We're plotting the path for a Buffalo Bills win over the Miami Dolphins in Week 3 today on Locked On Bills.
You are Locked On Bills, your daily Buffalo Bills podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Bills Mafia? It's Joe Marino, author of the Herd Mentality Substack, co-host of the Locked On NFL Scouting Podcast, co-host of the NFL First Read Podcast, and I'm your host of Locked On Bills. Want to thank you for making Locked On Bills your first listen every day, and a big welcome and shout out to our everydayers. You know who you are. Those of you who never miss a single episode, I appreciate y'all being here very, very much. Locked On Bills is a proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This episode is brought to you by Mazda. Like our players, we sweat every detail because when you make every move count, pulling off the unexpected is only the beginning. Stay tuned later for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward. Mazda, move and be moved. Well, folks, welcome in. It's time to get ready for this Week 3 matchup between the Bills and Dolphins. We're going to break it down from every angle, including the special teams, the Bills offense against the Dolphins defense, the Bills defense against the Dolphins offense. But we start with the head coach, quarterback, and details of the game. So let's dive in. Of course, the Bills are at home in Week 3 to host the Miami Dolphins. The game will be played on Thursday, September 18th at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Time at Highmark Stadium in Orchard Park, New York. You can watch the game on Amazon Prime Video. Al Michaels is on the play-by-play. Kirk Herbstreit is the game analyst, and Kaylee Hartung is the sideline reporter. This will be the 124th all-time meeting between the Bills and Dolphins, and the Bills have an all-time record against Miami of 60, 62, and 1. Of course, the Bills have had tons of recent success over Miami. The Bills have won the last 6, 13 of the last 14, and 15 of the last 17. The Bills enter this game 2-0, of course, with wins over the Ravens and Jets. The Dolphins are 0-2. They have losses to the Colts and last week to the Patriots. Head coach of the Miami Dolphins is Mike McDaniel. He's in his 4th season on the job. They are 28-25 under Mike McDaniel. They made the playoffs in each of his first 2 seasons. Then they finished 8-9 last year. And of course, Tua, their starting quarterback, missed 6 games. And this year they're off to an 0-2 start. And there's a lot of rumblings about Mike McDaniel and, if and when he gets fired, potentially after this game. You have to keep in mind the Dolphins' next game is Monday night. So they could have that gap of Thursday to Monday, which is as long of a gap as you can have without there being a bye week mixed in, and if they could make the decision to move on. It's getting pretty loud, right? There's a lot of finger pointing going on in Miami. Players only meetings after week 1. So very much on the hot seat, and we'll see if it all comes to an end after Thursday night. The quarterback for the Miami Dolphins is Tua Tagovailoa. He's 27 years old. Was a first-round pick, number 5 overall in 2020 out of Alabama, 6'1", 225 pounds. He has started 64 career games, and Miami is 38-26 in those 64 starts. So far this season, he's completing 73% of his passes, 429 yards in 2 games, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Let's get into some of his advanced metrics. So far this year, he's minus 0.15 EPA per dropback, which is 29th in the NFL. He's throwing deep on 16% of his passes. That's the 4th highest rate in the NFL, and it's been fairly successful. They're 5 of 8 for 131 yards and a touchdown on deep throws so far throughout 2 games. Yards after catch accounts for 47% of Tua's yards, which is 25th in the NFL. Usually there's a little bit more in terms of yards after catch. These next 2 numbers are very not Tua-like. His first read percentage is 62%. That's 24th in the NFL. Usually that number for Tua is over 70%. So a pretty big dip in percentage of throws to his first read, which correlates with this next number, which is average time to throw. It's at 2.41 seconds. Now, that's still pretty fast. That's the fourth fastest trigger in the NFL. But last year, this guy was at 2.21 seconds. So he's holding on the ball a little bit more, and he's throwing to his first read a little bit less compared to where we normally see these numbers fall for Tua. He throws a catchable ball on 80% of his throws. That's eighth highest in the NFL. His turnover-worthy throw rate is very, very high, 7.3%. That's the highest in the NFL, and that's crazy high. That would be an unbelievable mark for him to finish the season at. So I'd expect that to come down at some point, but through 2 games, over 7% of throws have been turnover-worthy. Drops, they haven't had many of those. 1.8% of throws are dropped. That's fourth best in the NFL. He's not facing much pressure. 23% pressure rate. That's 31st in the NFL. But here's the number that's crazy. 53% of pressure that Tua has faced has resulted in a sack. That's unbelievably high. Like a league average number would be like 15 to 20%. Last year, Tua was at 21%. 53% of pressure is resulting in a sack. They run play action, only 15% of plays. That's 30th in the NFL, so not a ton of play action, but they are a heavy screen team where 13.6% of Tua's dropbacks are screen plays. So, some of the usual numbers for Tua, accurate, high completion percentage, not a lot of drops, throwing the ball deep, but yards after catch, first read percentage, time to throw, turnover-worthy throw rate, pressure rate in terms of what it's turning into sacks, all of those are alarmingly high for Tua right now through 2 games. Obviously, it's a 2-game sample size, so numbers can be heavily inflated by one performance. But, some interesting trends here for Tua through 2 games. All right, we're going to extend this conversation beyond Mike McDaniel and Tua. We'll get into the rest of the offense here on the other side of it and what the Bills' defense needs to do. We'll break that down here next. So, folks, be sure to stick with me. This episode is brought to you by Mazda's Moving the Game Forward. For those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. There are moments that do more than put points on the board. They move crowds, move culture, and keep moving the game forward. This week's moment that moved the game forward is Joey Bosa's forced fumble on the second offensive series of the game for the Jets. The Bills start out the game on defense. They get a 3-and-out. Then they get the ball, and they go on a touchdown drive. They're up 7-0. The Jets get the ball back, right? And the first play of that drive, Joey Bosa forces that fumble, and the Bills get the ball back with a short field. They go up 2 scores, and then from there, the Jets are out of the style of game that they wanted to play. They're in chase mode, and the Bills are in the driver's seat as they're leading by 10 points, just 10 minutes into the game. And so when you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to every Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. The NFL season is back, and honestly, there is nothing better than being in the stadium. You got to love being there with the fans, cheering on your team. But let's be honest, getting tickets can be a major, major hassle between queues and login screens and all those types of things. You can have some challenges, and that's why you got to go to Game Time. It's the app that gives the advantage back to fans. Game Time is fast, and it's backed by the Game Time guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included, so the price you see is the price you pay. I recently pulled up Game Time because I wanted to go to that Bills-Ravens game. I was stuck in the airport, last-minute opportunity to go to the game, found a great deal on last-minute tickets, and I love that I could see my exact seat view before I pulled the trigger. I knew what I was getting into when I got to Highmark Stadium. So check it out. The app makes everything simple, and it's faster, it's cheaper, and it's way less stressful than any other way that I've ever purchased tickets. So download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. All right, folks, let's continue getting ready for Bills Dolphins Thursday Night Football. The offensive coordinator for the Miami Dolphins is Frank Smith. He's 44 years old. His 4th season in Miami, but he's an offensive coordinator that's not a play caller. Mike McDaniel is their play caller, and they got a lot of cooks in the kitchen here in Miami. You got McDaniel, who's the head coach and play caller, Frank Smith, who's the offensive coordinator. They've got Bobby Slowick, who was the Texans offensive coordinator the last couple of years. He's now their senior passing game coordinator. Darrell Bevel is their passing game coordinator. Chandler Henley is a run game specialist. So they got a lot of different cooks in the kitchen here with this Dolphins offense. Let's break down their metrics so far through 2 games. They are averaging 17.5 points per game. That's 25th. They've passed the ball 72% of snaps. They've run the ball 28% of snaps. That's the highest pass rate in the league. That's the lowest run rate in the league. And I think, there's some game script things that matter. I think the Dolphins want to run the ball a lot more than that. But they got smoked right in week 1 against the Colts. That game was out of hand. And so they're in a position where they have to throw the ball a lot. And then you go to last week against the Patriots, they're down 12-0, after the first 2 Patriots possessions. And so that obviously is going to put you in a position where you got to throw the ball a lot. They are 23rd in EPA per play offensively, 24th in EPA per pass, 10th in EPA per run. They're converting 45% of their third downs. That's 10th best in the NFL. They're only scoring a touchdown 25% of their red zone trips. Only 4 trips to the red zone so far, 1 touchdown. That is 30th in the NFL. Let's talk about their personnel, and we'll get into this wide receiver room. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, still there, right? We know what these guys can bring to the table. They are explosive, right? Speed demons. And obviously, that puts a lot of stress on the defense. They can get vertical, and they can win after the catch. They're very dynamic receivers. Obviously, Tyreek Hill not coming off of a good season for him, but a lot of production last week against the Patriots. So those are their primary 2 receivers. Then in the slot, or I guess they're going to move guys around, but the third receiver is now Malik Washington. Good-looking young player, was a day 3 draft pick a couple of years ago out of Virginia. Really good yards after catch. I think he's got a chance to be a good slot for them. And then they also have Nick Westbrook-Ikine, who gives them a size element to this receiver core, a blocker, a guy that can score some touchdowns in the red zone, has some big play potential. He's their size piece of this receiver core. At tight end, Julian Hill is the guy that's played the most snaps at tight end. Tanner Connor, who's a converted college receiver, he's in the mix. They've also got Darren Waller, who they got out of retirement and traded for him. I don't know if he's going to go or not. He's been limited in practice. As of the recording of this podcast, he's not really played. I don't know what to expect there. But I think they've completed 1 pass so far this year to a tight end. So after last year with Jonnu Smith and all the production there, it's not really been a part of what they're doing in the passing game so far. You also have to factor in Alec Ingold, who's one of the premier fullbacks in the league. That's a big part of their blocking surfaces overall. At running back, it's about Devon Achane. Small, shifty back, but he's really, really explosive. And he's the guy that they've thrown the ball to the most this year. He's leading the team in targets. He's leading the team in carries. So this offense really so far has been about Devon Achane, and he's a very potent playmaker. His backup, I suppose, is Ollie Gordon, a draft pick this past year out of Oklahoma State. They haven't really trusted him to touch the football, but he's the backup. They've got Jeff Wilson, who's been around Mike McDaniel for a lot of years, kind of a plotting power back. I don't know if he's going to really get involved. They have Jalen Wright, who's been injured. I don't know if he's going to be available for this game. A player they have a lot of draft capital invested in, but he hasn't looked good, whether it's preseason or regular season touches. So they've got other backs, but it really feels like it's all about Devon Achane right now at running back for them. So when you look at the distribution of carries through 2 games, Devon Achane has 18 carries. The guy with the next amount of carries is Malik Washington, who has 4. That's the slot receiver. Then Ollie Gordon has 3 carries. When it comes to target distribution, Devon Achane has 14, Tyreek Hill 13, Jalen Waddle 11, Malik Washington 7, then Nick Westbrook-Ikine at 5, and then a few scattered amongst the other players. So it's about Devon Achane, right? That's the focal point of this offense. Let's talk about this offensive line that has already faced injuries. Their right guard and right tackle are on injured reserve. So let's work through it. Their left tackle is Patrick Paul, who was a rookie last year that they drafted to succeed Teron Armstead, and that's what he's able to do, right? They drafted him in the 2nd round for him to start this year, and this is his first full year as a starter. Got a little bit of playing time as a rookie. Their left guard is Jonah Savianaya, a rookie out of Arizona. He's struggled so far through 2 games, giving up a lot of pressure. He's not played well. He's a player I like coming out of Arizona, but not playing good ball right now. Their center is Aaron Brewer, who is a really good center for this scheme. He's got a lot of range and athleticism. He's small, one of the smallest offensive linemen you'll see, but this guy can really move, and he's a good scheme fit for this offense. Now, some rumblings that he might not be available this week. Has had some injury stuff, and as of the recording of this podcast, there was reports that wasn't seen during the Tuesday practice, so we'll see what happens there. Their right guard is Keon Smith, who's like been a developmental tackle for them that's playing right guard. Then the right tackle is Larry Borum, who is a player I think ideally they'd like to have as a depth player, but he's thrust into action here with Austin Jackson not available. So James Daniels was supposed to be the right guard. He lasted 3 plays. He's on injured reserve. The right tackle, of course, is supposed to be Austin Jackson, who just continues to have injury issues. So they tried to get this offensive line looking better, but injuries have really derailed the unit. So big question mark for Miami is this offensive line in multiple spots. So what are the keys for the Bills defense against this Miami offense? Number one, get Tua out of rhythm, right? You've watched Tua for years. You know how he plays. It's rhythm, it's timing. It's getting the ball out quick, accurately, spot throws into the hands of playmakers that are electric with the ball in their hands, right? How do you beat that? Well, you get him out of rhythm. And so whether that's quick pressure in his face, whether that's your coverage rotations that are designed to spin a certain way that caps what Tua wants early and forces him to move his eyes, right? That's what you do. You want to do things that are going to get Tua to move his eyes, get him off his spot, have him work deeper into progressions, and that's where the wheels fall off, right? He's a physically limited quarterback. He doesn't have much arm strength. He doesn't have much movement skills. And so when you make him work a little bit and, have to really get his feet under him and make throws or, work off of his spot or dial up a tight window throw, it's not going to go well for Tua because he's limited. Now, if he can work within rhythm, he's unbelievable, right? Quick trigger, accurate on the short throws. Even he can rock and fire those deep throws, just, a quick hitch and rip the ball down the field. But if you get him out of that rhythm, as you know, the wheels can come off. So number one, you got to get Tua out of rhythm. Number two is, Devon Achane. This guy, they throw the ball to him the most, and they pretty much only run it with him. He's an electric player, but he's little, right? And so he's had injury stuff, but you got to have the right plan to deal with him. They're going to find ways to get him the football, get him down on the ground, right? Take good angles, but ultimately, I think that's where you have to focus a lot of your energy. You think a lot about Tyreek Hill, you think a lot about Jalen Waddle, but Devon Achane is definitely the guy right now for this offense. And then number 3, I have written down Bills Mafia. This is a home game at Highmark Stadium. The Dolphins are a team that has a lot of issues offensively with procedural stuff, whether it's illegal shifts, it's delay of games, false starts. They have a lot of problems, especially on the road. Bills Mafia, do your 111th. Be loud. When the Dolphins have the ball, be loud. They struggle at home with that stuff when it's quiet. You get them on the road, and you can get negative plays without even having to make a play because Miami makes mistakes. So get Tua out of rhythm. Devon Achane is the playmaker to take away. Bills Mafia, do your part to get those procedural issues because this Dolphins team is ready to implode if they haven't already. Bury him, right? Bury him. All right, coming up next, we'll talk about this Dolphins defense, the challenges they present, and how Josh Allen can find production against Miami. So, folks, be sure to stick with me. FanDuel, folks, the NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer right now. New customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel because it fits however I want to bet, whether that's spreads, over-unders, player props, building a same-game parlay, or even the live betting as the action unfolds. It just makes everything more exciting, whether you're watching your favorite team or just keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup. It's quick, it's easy, and it's the best way to add a little energy to game days. I also love all the profit boosts Log in there, see what's available. It could be a 30% profit boost, 50% profit boost. Sometimes they give you a no sweat bet on an event. So make sure you're checking out those things on a daily basis. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. All right, folks, welcome back. If you're looking for additional content from me, I have that for you. Of course, Locked On Bills is always going to be here for you. You know the drill here, but I also have a Substack. It's called the Herd Mentality Substack. And in season, I give 3 pieces of content every single week and sometimes more. But every single week you get my all 22 film review clips. So you hear me talk about what happened on the tape. I show you in the Herd Mentality Substack, voiceover analysis, me breaking down the big plays in the game. You also get Josh Allen Weekly, which is where I chart Josh Allen through 76 different data points. I compare it to the rest of the league, and I give analysis and context, and we measure trends, and we're really dialed in on everything going on with every component of Josh Allen's game and how it measures against the rest of the NFL. And then, of course, you get my scouting matchup primer, where I break down key advantages and disadvantages for the Bills against their opponent. But I love that you also get like a visual depth chart where every player in the lineup for both teams, I categorize as either an elite starter, a quality starter, an average starter, a quality depth player, replacement level. And you can kind of see, like, it's all color-coded to see where, all right, this is where some big advantages can be. And that's stuff you get every week. You get my quarterly report cards where I break down every component of the Bills after every 4 games, off-season content. You get into our Discord channel where we have nearly 2,000 Bills fans in there talking Bills and debating things all day long. It's a big organized group chat. I also do a live stream, a hangout. I call it the Herd Hangout every Wednesday night. So be part of all of that. If you want to be part of it, go to thejoemarino.com in your browser or in today's show notes. You can find a link to thejoemarino.com. You can check out the Substack. You can check out the Discord and all the things that we have going on. Plus, the merch shop is in there. We got some cool T-shirt designs for you to check out. Again, thejoemarino.com. All right. Defensive coordinator for the Miami Dolphins is Anthony Weaver. He's 45 years old. It's his second season as Miami's defensive coordinator. Prior to that, he was the Ravens defensive line coach for 3 years. And then in 2020, he was the Texans defensive coordinator after spending the previous 4 years as their defensive line coach. He was actually the Bills defensive line coach at one point as well, the Browns as well. Metrics for this Dolphins defense so far, not very good. They're giving up 33 points per game. That's the second most in the NFL. They've given up exactly 33 points in each game, right? 33 to the Colts, 33 to the Patriots. They're dead last in EPA per play defensively, dead last EPA per pass, 22nd in EPA per rush. They give up third down conversion 52% of the time. That's 30th out of 32. And they allow a touchdown 60% of red zone trips. So 6 out of 10 red zone trips, they've allowed a touchdown, which is 17th in the NFL. Their defensive line is actually something that should be a strength of their team. At defensive tackle, they're going to run a lot of 3-4. So their down linemen, you're going to see Zach Sealer, I think is one of the better defensive tackles in the league. Really good run defender, really good pass rusher. I think he's like 13th in the entire NFL in sacks over the last couple of years. I mean, he's a good player. Just got a nice contract extension. He deserved it. Then they have Kenneth Grant. That's their first-round pick. Big, athletic defensive lineman. Jordan Phillips, who, not the Bills' Jordan Phillips, a different Jordan Phillips. He's a rookie. I think it was a 5th-round pick. Good-looking young nose tackle. And then Matthew Butler, who provides some athleticism to the group as well as kind of the 4th guy. They also have Benito Jones. I don't know if he's going to be available or not. I don't think he played last week against the Patriots. But it's about Zach Sealer, Kenneth Grant, and Jordan Phillips there. Then they're going to play, kind of these true outside linebackers, like rush outside linebacker in a 3-4. So you'll see Jalen Phillips, who's back from injury, Bradley Chubb, back from injury, right? Those are good players. We'll see where they are in terms of impact post-injury, right? Those are some long absences that those guys had. Chop Robinson, their first-round pick from 2024. He's really explosive. Good-looking young pass rusher. And then they signed Matthew Judon, who's a veteran. A lot of time with the Patriots. Last year with the Falcons, has been a Raven. He's part of that mix. So they're going to play all 4 of those players on the edge. Their off-ball linebackers, Jordan Brooks. I think he's a good starting linebacker. He's a good coverage player, good in space, athletic player. I think he's really strong. And then his running mate is somebody well, Tyrell Dodson. And so, Tyrell Dotson can play downhill. He's playing in space and coverage, still a concern with T-Dot. At corner, they got a guy Rasul Douglas. They signed him just before the season. He's a starter. Jack Jones is their other starter who has been a head case in the NFL. And has had some good seasons, but just a wild card in terms of the personality. He struggled so far with Miami. Jason Marshall is their slot corner, a fifth-round rookie out of Florida. And I don't think he played slot in college, if I'm not mistaken. So that's a new role for him. Of course, this kind of blew up on him. They thought Cam Smith was going to be an answer for them. He's hurt. You had Kader Kohu, who's been an experienced player. He's hurt. Storm Duck hasn't worked out. I mean, it's been a rough go at corner. So they signed these guys, and there's some level of know-how with them, but they're just not repped, right? Like, you talk about running all these different coverages, and when you haven't had time together, it's tough to be secure, right? And there's some limitations, of course, with these players, but it's the limitations combined with just not being repped together and having to go play NFL football. That's tough. At safety, they have Minkah Fitzpatrick, who they got back in the Jalen Ramsey trade. Iffy Melifonwu, who's been his running mate, he struggled and he's hurt. We'll see where they go with that. Maybe it'll be Ashton Davis, who's been a backup for the Jets for a number of years, and now he's in Miami. They also have Dante Trader, a fifth-round rookie out of Maryland, who could be the running mate to Minkah Fitzpatrick. So we'll see who the other safety is going to be. Could be Davis, could be Trader. But on either spot, I think that would be a major question mark for them. So it's been a tough go for that pass defense, that secondary, whether it's talent issues or just guys that haven't played much together. It's been an uphill battle for them the last couple weeks. So what are my keys for the Bills' offense against this defense? Number one is you got to test this secondary, right? Test the coverage. And you have some matchup advantages, whether that's Tyrell Dotson in coverage, whoever their second safety is, whoever's playing in the slot. You should have some athletic advantages over Rasul Douglas. You got to go after these guys, right? They haven't proven able to stop the pass. Daniel Jones lit them up. Drake May lit them up. Time for Josh Allen to light them up, right? At home on a short week. Test this secondary. Number two is, you gotta be sound in pass protection. I thought the Bills have been just okay in pass protection now for 2 games. And you can clown the Dolphins all you want, but they've got good pass rushers. Bradley Chubb, Chop Robinson, Jalen Phillips, Matthew Judon, Zach Sealer. That's a good group. That's a good group. So you got to be ready to deal with it. They blitz a ton. They've had a 40% blitz rate now through 2 games. That's 4th highest in the NFL. And I think they're trying to help their secondary the best they can, sending extra rushers at the quarterback and seeing if they can heat up some throws because they know they can't hold up on the back end. Like they shouldn't need to based on these pass rushers. But I think their coverage has been so problematic that they've had to try to help it the best they can, which is try to heat up throws. So have the right pass pro plan, whether it's one-on-ones against good rushers or the blitzes that have been prevalent through 2 games. And then number 3 is just wear this team down. This defense has played a lot of snaps over their first 2 games, 133 snaps in 2 games. The Dolphins have 6 different defenders that have played 99 snaps or more. For context, the Bills have played 98 total defensive snaps in 2 games. The Bills have 1 player that's played more than 88 snaps. It's a short week. They were in a dogfight in Miami against the Patriots. The Bills were resting their starters in the 4th quarter against the Jets. So whether it's, lighting them up in the passing game, wearing them down in the run game, just wear this defense down. You wonder how much fight they have, right? There's been a lot of criticism. Feels like McDaniel may have lost the locker room. It's a tired defense that has a lot to prove, and I'm not sure that there's a lot of answers available to them. Wear them down. Real quick on special teams, their kicker is Riley Patterson. They like it to be Jason Sanders. He's injured. A lot of kickers across the league are injured right now. But Riley Patterson's come in and done a nice job. He's made all of his kicks so far. He's 26. He's an 86% field goal kicker for his career, but he's been on 6 teams since 2021. Something's up there, right? Like he's been pretty good, but he's also not been able to lock down a job. Their punter is Jake Bailey. It's his 3rd season as the Dolphins punter. Prior to that, he had 4 seasons as the Patriots punter. I think he's a below average punter, but he gets the label of being a good holder, right? So that has kind of kept him employed. Their return situation, kick returners so far have been Malik Washington and D. Eskridge. D. Eskridge has a lot of speed, and Malik Washington also had a big punt return last week. He had a 74-yard punt return, one of the best punt returns you'll ever see. And they've only had 2 punt returns this year. It was the Malik Washington 74-yarder, and then Tyreek Hill had a 19-yard punt return. So I think it'll be Malik Washington and D. Eskridge on kick return. And they'll probably put Malik Washington out there as a punt returner. He's not super experienced at it, but he's a good yards after catch player. And like I said, he had a 74-yard return last week. That was, a really spectacular play. So something to keep in mind there when it comes to the potency of their return game. So there you have it. Bills Dolphins. It's coming quick, right? Thursday night. Hopefully this helps you get ready, but we got more to do. You're going to get on Thursday from me, you're going to get my final thoughts and predictions and banged up Bills, but you're going to get crossover Thursday. I'm going to post that on Wednesday afternoon. So you still have a couple more conversations on Locked On Bills to get you ready for Thursday night. Obviously, a lot of content coming on the Substack as well here with the Scouting Primer and Josh Allen Weekly here that's going to publish on Tuesday afternoon. So the content is coming. It's just a condensed week, right? Smushed together. We'll figure it out. We got to get what we got to get done. So excited for Thursday night. And excited to have a couple more conversations with you here in the coming days to get ready. So don't miss anything. Make sure that you're subscribed. Would love it if you took a second to rate, review, and share the podcast. Have a great rest of your day. Go Bills. And I look forward to catching up with you again real soon.